How many of you are prepared for an incident like this? Get my new book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, and I will teach you to think like an attacker so you can truly defend yourself. Don't just react, act. Available for pre-order now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Sheep No More. Get it.
My name is Jonathan Gillum.
And this is The Experts. This is Jonathan Gillum, and this is the Friday Night Toast version of The Experts on Facebook Live, Twitter, and YouTube. Come on in here, dog. And just got off the radio a second ago. Hold on one second. Just got off the radio a little bit ago. I hosted Sean Hannity's show today. They needed a quick fill-in host, and I answered the call. And here, look up there. And so now we're here to do our Friday night show. A lot of times it's a shorter show. I say that anyway. And then we'll do our toast. Right, buddy? And we got a lot to talk about. A lot of stuff that we've been talking about. I'm glad to see Comey got hassled by communists. That's funny. And McCain, that freaking guy. Anyway, why don't we get started? We'll talk about it. I got to get a phone line so you guys can call in versus doing Skype. Set up straight. Let's do it. How many of you are prepared for an incident? How many of you are prepared for an incident like this? Get my new book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, and I will teach you to think like an attacker so you can truly defend yourself. Don't just react, act. Available for pre-order now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Sheep No More. Get it. Technical issues constantly. But listen, we're driving forward. It's Friday. It is what it is. So it was a great show today on Sean's show. Not used to doing live reads on his show. I typically don't do those on his show, so that was interesting. Listen, live reads are hard for me. I'm getting better at them. He's the master of live reads. Those are the commercials that we do live, and he is the master. I mean, being around Sean when he's interviewing me is interesting because it's taught me so much about how not to sweat the small stuff. Really, you can't sweat the big stuff either when you're live. But it was interesting today. Had a technical difficulty here and there. Why is my lights always off on this thing? And see, this is what I'm talking about. It's Friday. It's like there's this stuff going on constantly. All right, here we go. I'm going to forever be doing this. There it is. Now you can see it. Yeah, so technical issues. Where was I? Technical issues. Constant technical issues at times. Today it wasn't bad. It wasn't anything that anybody did. Just new studio up there. Things happen here and there that I'm not used to handling, so I don't know how to handle it. And thank goodness that Linda, who is Sean Hannity's producer, is another mentor of mine, is there to always guide me through that. Because listen, folks, this is total. When you're looking at what I'm looking at in this studio, this is a bit smaller of a studio that I've created, and I do everything myself, so I know how all this stuff runs. It's a little bit different there. The other thing is, this is hard for me to get used to. I'm kind of airing stuff for you so you understand the reality of doing this stuff. Radio, you're talking for 3 hours. Here, I can talk for as long as I want, but there's no commercial breaks. That's the hard part about doing radio, is that for Sean's show, for instance, you have a lot of commercial breaks. So when you interview people, like I interviewed Scott Eulinger today, you all know me. I'm Southern, so I love to talk, and so I'm getting into this conversation. I'm having an in-depth conversation. It's time to go to a break. And then I got to cut him off and say, sorry, got 15 seconds left. And if they even so much as take a breath, I just have to cut them off. So that is something that you learn over time. And but it's a hard thing to do when you're used to doing your own show like this and having plenty of time to discuss stuff, which we typically do. So anyway, very interesting day today, and I can't thank Sean Hannity enough, and Linda for calling me and trusting me up there. And it was a fun show. I always love going up there. They're an incredible team. So somebody just said there's too many commercials. Well, that's what's good about coming on here. I don't have any, except for my book that I get to play, so that you can go pre-order my book. Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival. Yes, sir. Rico just came back. You want to be on here again? It's Friday. You can if you want. I don't know what you're looking. You're just looking at me. So I want to talk just a little bit while we got time today about, well, let's just start with James Comey. And why don't you have a seat right there? He's pestering me about something. 17. I mean, this dog's like, he's going to be here forever, I hope. James Comey got harassed by some Black Lives Matter communists today, and I love that. But here again, once again, he is a visiting fellow at, I forgot what university it is. Catherine Herridge is an incredible friend of mine, great woman, amazing patriot, incredibly professional reporter. One of the last real reporters was reporting on this. I forget what college it is, but we'll figure it out here as we turn this on. But I I don't really care what college it is. Why are all these people? I'm going to listen. I know the answer to this, but I want people to start realizing this. Whether it is this Antifa weirdo that was teaching at John Jay College here in New York, criminal justice school. You talk about killing cops. Way to go, John Jay. The Kennedy School at Harvard, giving a visiting fellowship to Chelsea, a.k.a. Bradley Manning, a.k.a. Traitor to the United States government, a.k.a. person who leaked over 700,000 pages of information to WikiLeaks, and potentially, we don't even know the damage that weirdo did to our national security. And now you got this Comey, who leaked government information, just like the other traitor, lied about it, lied about Hillary Clinton, covered up all this stuff, worked within this group of what I think are completely organized, subversive elements in our government and criminal elements. And they're going to offer him a visiting fellowship. He's a failure. That guy is a failure. His entire life has been based on a lie. You can go all the way back to the Clintons in Whitewater, where he let them off. He could have gotten rid of them back then. But Comey is a liar, and he's a disgrace to the FBI. He was never an agent anyway, so, which is another thing. I don't understand why we keep hiring these DOJ attorneys to run the FBI. The DOJ is so left and so incompetent, they shouldn't be running anything except way away. But let's listen to what Comey had to say here. Let me pull this over. This is from foxnews.com. Let's see here.
And said they disrupted Comey over his policies as FBI director, alleging it undermined the Black Lives.
Hold on.
No break, Comey talked over the demonstrators.
The rest of the real world is a place where it's hard sometimes to find people who will listen with an attitude that they might actually be convinced of something. Instead, what happens in most of the real world, and about 4 rows in this auditorium, is that people don't listen at all.
Comey's actions during the 2016 election are under new scrutiny after the Republican chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Chuck Grassley, wrote to FBI Director Christopher Wray this week, asking whether the Bureau warned the Trump campaign about the risk of Russian interference.
Yeah, well, there's the problem. Christopher Wray is another one of these DOJ employees that is these DOJ attorneys that are crooked and all know each other, all work together, all have each other's backs. This is a madhouse of mirrors, because these people never disappear. You turn around, there's James Comey. You turn around, oh, there's Christopher Wray. You turn around, oh, there's Robert Mueller. It's like they've been in the DOJ, they're working this, they're working that. Politicians want them here, want them there. They get book deals, they get visiting fellowships. Who's taking care of these people? When will this end? I'm telling you, it's Friday, but I'm fired up, folks. I just talked for 3 hours with people that have worked in and been in and around Washington, D.C., including Sebastian Gorka. I interviewed him, and he said something that I won't say it shocked me, but it sent the hairs right up on the back of my neck. He said that, this guy's been around, and he's taught all over the place, and he comes from a communist country. He thought he had seen it all. But he said nothing could have prepared him for what he saw inside Washington, D.C. Now that is the biggest statement I've heard all day. Our government, folks, has gotten to a place where, I mean, it is outright dangerous, folks. It is dangerous. We have got to do something about this. It's going to get to a point, folks, where there's nothing else we can do. Talking to Gorka today, one of the things that he said was that it's not the politicians that, they're the problem. They're a big problem. But it's the staffers that work in and around Washington, D.C. and the White House, and the fact that they all completely undermine what the president is doing now. I believe, and I will say this, again, I'm not above criticizing the president. I think he's made a lot of mistakes. I'm not going to lie. But he's not a politician, so I can understand that. But if you understand the reality of what's happening in Washington, D.C., why wouldn't you remove yourself from that for a period of time? Not go into it and try to play the game or get it, make the deals. Listen, this is what the president has to realize. And anybody else that's up there, I don't think Gorka knew it. I don't think Bannon knew it or knows it still. I don't think after listening to his 60 Minutes interview, I don't think a lot of Americans realize this. We have a failed government. It is a failed government, folks. You can't bargain in a failed government. You can't make deals in a failed government. You know what you have to do? Go to war. And you have to, it's a civil war. And you have to crush those nefarious entities. I'm not a warmonger. I don't advocate war. Listen, there's a time and place, and as the Lord said in the Bible, there's a season for everything. I believe that. I believe a time for war is almost upon us. Why am I saying this? Because it's not that we've exhausted every other outlet. It's that the American people are so divided. Even if we didn't have racial strife or any problems with sexuality and gender and all this stuff, even if we didn't have that, Americans, by and large, just want to be left alone and do their own thing. That's great. That's what freedom's all about. However, in order to sustain freedom, you kind of have to work together. And that's not happening. People think, I'm going to send vote. Listen, those Republicans are doing a terrible job. I'm going to vote them out of office next time. Okay, great. That is going to solve absolutely nothing. I remember one time I was doing an arrest when I was in the FBI, and it was for a group of people that were doing a certain thing. I can't go into detail about what it was, but we removed this entity from this criminal. Let me just put it to you this way. There are certain things that go on in and around New York City that people take advantage of these things. They whether it be transportation or anything else like that. When you remove one element of that, it's just going to be filled with a group of people just waiting to fill that void. They're just as bad. They're just as nefarious. They're just as illegal doing the things that they do. And they're just ready to jump into that space. If you remove the Republicans that are sitting in office right now that are worthless doing nothing, you're just going to fill the void with either worthless Democrats or you're going to fill the void with more worthless Republicans. Until we get, we need several hundred people of great leaders. We need money people. We need big money people that have their millions and their billions that say, you know what? I'm going to become part of this team. I'm going to fix this. And I want to get together with a group of people, and I want to have qualifications, not political qualifications, not whether or not they can be elected. We'll deal with that when it comes. I want leaders. I want to find out where these people are that can step up to the plate and think effectively and look for solutions and understand that we're at war, folks. We are at war. We just have not. I'm not even talking about Islam. I'm talking about the reality of what's going on in Washington, D.C. They own us. It's, you know what it is? It's no different. I know people would argue with me on this. Granted, we're not living in the shacks and going into the master's house and working, but we are slaves to these people. They're not concerned about health insurance. They're not concerned about pensions. Their pensions will always be there because their pensions come from us, not some kind of investment. They're not concerned about the law. They work above the law. They're not worried about it, and evidently it lasts long after you're gone. We're slaves, folks, and they're the masters. And until we realize that in order to be freed, and I hate the fact that I'm saying this in the United States, but we are slaves to these people. and to these two political parties. And until we start working together, we will be slaves. The only difference is you get to pick the job out, you get to pick the clothes, you get to pick whatever drink you're going to have, but that's it. Try breaking into this system. It's almost impossible. Go out and get a government job. Go out and get a government job. Any government job. Then take your server and connect it to your home computer. Watch what happens to you. Get a job in the government where you get issued a phone, and then destroy that phone with a hammer. And when they ask you what happened, say, I destroyed it with a hammer. Where is it? I threw it away. Watch what happens to you. You're going to go to jail. Your life is going to be ruined. Not these people. These Comeys, these Mannings like Bradley / Chelsea Manning, these Antifa people, they are part of it. But the realization that I've had today, especially after talking to Gorka, and I knew this before, but hearing him say it fresh out of the White House is the equivalent of talking to somebody who you suspect of being a serial killer, and they say, yeah, I'm glad you caught me because I've killed like 30 people, and I just, I'm tired of it. You'd be like, as an investor, you'd be like, I just thought you stole some, bread out of the grocery store. That's what we were asking about. Having Gorka say what he said about Washington, D.C., and about the reality of who these people are that are causing this trouble, not just political appointees, but these staffers, GS-13s, mid-level staffers that are a part of this egotistical, narcissistic, psychopathic lifestyle in Washington, D.C., and they've been there. Some of them since Clinton, through Bush, and definitely since Obama. It's a scary thing, folks. It's a scary thing. And we're at war. We just haven't, nobody's declaring it, because that would be like saying, I'm sure right before the Civil War started, whether it was over slavery or money, there were tensions boiling. And people were realizing that maybe there is something they can do about slavery. And it took a certain amount of time for things to boil to a point where there was a civil war. I mean, we are like right there. And these people, they either don't see it or they don't care. That's what I truly believe. They think because they work in Washington, D.C., ain't nothing going to happen to them. Yeah, somebody just said Wasserman Schultz needs to wear orange.
Well, I don't know what I did. Anything wrong, Debbie? Wasserman Schultz is my name. I'm so tired. I'm gonna go to sleep.
That's what I think about every time I see her. Here's an interesting thing about McCain today. McCain and Rand Paul, of all people, were the two deciding votes that stopped this health care bill from going forward. And I got to say, my own opinion is I'm glad that they did it, because I don't like this bill. I think these people are criminal. I don't think we're going to get a good bill. Repealing 10% of Obamacare is not repealing Obamacare. And putting health care back in the hands of the states, I think, is a great idea. But John McCain is a criminal, and of course he doesn't want to stop it because, and these other politicians know it. John McCain's got nothing to lose. So they're like, yeah, I'll vote for it, save my career. John McCain says, I'll take the fall. I won't allow this to happen. And then you look at Rand Paul. Rand Paul has good intentions because he says, I can't vote for that. It doesn't do any good for the American people. Now, that's if you believe Rand Paul is this all-American guy. I don't know, really. I don't trust anybody in Washington, D.C., so I don't know. But nonetheless, as I've been talking about all week, we've seen nothing effective. Nobody's done anything effective to get anything solved. So, Man, what a Friday. Let's go to the A block. I don't really want to cover this stuff anymore right now. I've been covering it all week. I covered it all day on Hannity's show. Listen, I can only call people to arms. I don't want to call it call to arms, but call them to action in so many ways. I mean, I'm giving you the proof on a nightly basis of the reality of what's happening in this country. I mean, I just sat in Sean Hannity's chair. I just talked to people who just left the White House, and everything that I've been telling you is exactly what they're saying, except worse. Let's go to the A block, I guess. Let's just break it up a little bit, and then we'll talk about people not helping people. How many of you are prepared for an incident like this? Get my new book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, and I will teach you to think like an attacker so you can truly defend yourself. Don't just react, act. Available for pre-order now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Sheep No More. Get it. This dog is killing me today. Sitting right here. Maybe I'm giving you too much information, but he does this. He's ornery. He knows I'm stuck here right now. So what does he do? He comes and he lays right here and completely destroys this place. I don't know what. Would you eat something while you were gone? Like I was gone? Oh my Lord, this dog. Anyway, here's another thing. Okay. My scooter, the charger broke on my scooter, right? Just stopped working. I opened it up. There's a battery. It needs to be soldered. I don't have a soldering iron. But yeah, I can't get any help. Throughout the day, I'm calling the place where I bought it. Thank you, New York City Wheels. Nobody answering the phone there. When they finally do, they don't have a charger from the very last style of scooter that they had, right? So the whole point is, there's no customer service anymore. I've talked about this before on the show. There's nobody helping anybody. And I've seen multiple places where people get there's always these stories about people getting sued because they helped somebody who fell or something like that. I personally, and I've been all over this country, I've never seen somebody get sued for helping somebody else out. Those are attorneys that start those, that either start those rumors, or attorneys that have actually worked cases like that and brought some kind of evil lawsuit like that against somebody. And it is evil. But I'm telling you, folks, we have got to get back to customer service and helping people and realizing that we're in this together. It doesn't matter, folks. It doesn't matter if we're talking about politics, or if we're talking about your church, or if we're talking about you have a friend who is a single parent and having a hard time and helping them out. Folks, we've got to start working together in this country. It's just the middle class was so great at one time, because not that, yeah, people were in each other's business. When I grew up in Arkansas, we had a party line where you pick up the phone, you didn't know who was going to be on there. You had to wait for people to get off so you could make a phone call a lot of the times. People didn't make a lot of phone calls back then. That's when we had that cable box, had the long cord that went to connect to the TV. There used to be a sense of neighbor. There used to be a sense of people helping each other out. In New Jersey, here on the East Coast, it's the law that they have to have somebody pump your gas. I'm sure they did it for some kind of, I don't know, reasons it's not for service-oriented reasons, but it's interesting going there and having somebody pump your gas for you, and you're not paying an extra price for it. What happened to customer service? What happened? I don't know. My good buddy Eric just wrote me and said too much automation takes away personal customer service. Absolutely. I mean, forget about calling, Chase Bank and reporting something. You're calling India. You're not calling here. Oh, man, this is stuff that people have been hashing and rehashing for the longest time. But I'm telling you, folks, the more of this stuff that I look at in doing this show on a nightly basis. This is a grind doing this show nightly, because nightly I bring up stuff that I'm seeing that nobody's going to fix. Nobody's doing anything about it. It's tough. It's tough when you are a real person that is not out to be famous. That's not my goal in this. With doing this type of a job and having a platform is going to come certain types of fame for sure. When I was on Fox News, not many people recognize me here, but plenty of people in the South recognize me. Here, when I was on CNN, I got recognized more. But I'm not in this for the fame. So many people are in this for the fame. I'm in this for the platform so that I can continue to serve the people and share this knowledge of the reality with everybody. Get people unified. Give them a platform so that they can have discussions and bring up their concerns and have dialogue about it and debates. That's my goal. But doing this day in and day out, I'm seeing the reality of the problem, and here's the solution, but nobody's jumping on board with the solution. And it's a interesting, frightening, exhausting place to be. Exhausting. Listen, I love the fight. I'm in it to win it, but it is disheartening at times because nothing changes. 2 years I've been given talking about the same thing. People like communism, no way. Finally, it's starting to appear on TV, and people are starting to be like, communism. Yeah. There's several of us out here that have been talking about it for a long time. All right, I think shorter show tonight. I'm exhausted, folks. I'm not going to lie. That was a long show today, and I didn't get any sleep thanks to somebody. Dog. He's passed out now. I love him. He's hard, but he's a hard time, but I love him. He's good. He's a good dog, good friend, my best friend. So I tell you what, if you haven't gotten something to drink, get yourself something. And I'm going to go to the Truth Zone, and we're going to do a toast. And we're going to toast. Let me think about this for a second. Let's go to the Truth Zone. I'll come up with a good toast. How many of you are prepared for an incident like this? Get my new book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, and I will teach you to think like an attacker so you can truly defend yourself. Don't just react, act. Available for pre-order now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Sheep No More. Get it. There again. Technical issues. My Lord. It's just one technical thing after another tonight. My mouse just stopped working. All right, raise them high, I guess, and we'll just go ahead and call it a Friday. And I hope you guys have a good Friday. Turn this down just a little bit so you can hear me. So, after today's show and reflecting on the things that we talked about, I brought this subject up earlier in the week about your legacy, about my legacy, and if I died tonight, I'm okay with that. You know, I've lived a life of service. I have loved and lost and served and failed and succeeded, and my name is in the halls of very elite places. Not that it has to be there, but that was what I strove for. Failed many times trying to get there. Finally got there. Probably the proudest thing I've ever done is raise these two incredible dogs. Jesse passed away in 2014, but it means a lot to see their success and my effort come together as very disciplined animals. I guess the point I'm trying to make here is that this country has a legacy as well. The legacy of our founding fathers is not to be questioned. They did exactly what they needed to do to start this country. The Constitution's legacy is not to be questioned. It did exactly what it needed to do without being messed with. Eventually, the people that lived in this country that were under oppression, because that's the way the world was back then, not because our founding fathers were any different than any other person in this country, in this world. They had slaves back then. But the Constitution that they wrote served its purpose in freeing slaves and bringing equal rights to women, to making sure that people that have a different gender or sexuality or whatever, and that they were not to be discriminated against. The Constitution has its legacy. It's in place. But folks, what we're looking at now is a disgraced legacy. Am I being a little over the top today? I don't know. Maybe so, maybe not. But I will tell you this. The exact thing that our founding fathers fled from that made their legacy so rock solid is the very thing that we are facing now. Tyranny. A government that is above the people, not of the people. A government full of people that do not subscribe to the rules and regulations and laws that the rest of us are held accountable for. A group of people in government in Washington, D.C. that survive and make their living off of the destruction of our middle class. There are people in Washington, D.C. that have gotten rich for generations off of the longing of the American citizenry to have a messiah, a king, somebody to fix this stuff. You can't find that. You won't find it. No leader is ever happy allowing other people to do what they themselves can achieve. That is what the American people need to realize. If you want to be a team, you have to be leaders, all of you. Otherwise, you're not a team. It's one person leading other people that are trying to mimic this person. Listen, we need to rise up as leaders and become a team, a citizenry. So I raise a toast tonight. I went a little long on that. I raise a toast to the founding fathers. I raise a toast to the Constitution. But listen, I want you all to rise up, just like we raised this toast tonight. You have to claim your right as a citizen to defend this country and stand together. You don't have to take an oath for official office. You are free, and you have to realize if you're serving, you're a part of the solution. If you are not, you're part of the problem. If you are having dialogue, you're part of the solution. If you're not, you're part of the problem. In order to have a team, a true team, a winning team, you must have leaders. They must all be leaders, no matter what position you're in. I don't care if you're 80 years old and living in the inner city or you're 16 living in the inner city. I don't care if you have more money than Donald Trump or if you're somebody who's getting ready to graduate college. I don't care if you're white, black, man, woman. I don't care what you've had cut off or added to your body. If you want to continue to be free, if you want things fixed in Washington, D.C., if you want a future and you want your children to have a future, if you want to be a part of the legacy, the direct lineage of our founding fathers, I suggest you do this. I suggest that you start having dialogue and unifying and forget about this communist subversion saying that we have to be divided. Forget about that. Stand together. So I raise my toast to you in hopes that you and you and you and you and you will let go of what you think is best and start working together as a team for what's most effective. Oh, that's a good toast. I got it on me. I'm Jonathan Gillum. I'm your teammate. I'm a leader. I have a legacy. What is yours? I'll see you on Monday. Rico's asleep down there. Remember, wherever I'm at, the truth has arrived. This is The Experts. How many of you are prepared for an incident like this? Get my new book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, and I will teach you to think like an attacker so you can truly defend yourself. Don't just react, act. Available for pre-order now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Sheep No More. Get it.